Rockstars, Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here, and today we're going to be talking about easy soloing over chord changes. This is part 2. We did part 1 on Friday. I dropped a couple jam tracks for you over the weekend. And this is the part 2 where we're going to be talking about minor chord changes. So a very similar process, but we're talking about minor chords here. Now, we can do this with any chords. It could be multiple chords, like 7, could be 2 chords. It has to be more than 1 chord, though, for it to be chord changes. So the easiest way to do this is with 2 chords. This is why this is easy soloing. It's because we're doing 2 chords and 2 chords only. Also, what happens a lot of times when folks are doing this right in the beginning is they pick a change that's happening too quickly for them to comprehend and get that chord shape and all the other notes that might be applicable with it. It's happening too quickly, so the chord changes are happening too quickly. So what I've done is I've said, okay, let's create a jam track here. We have that chord playing for 4 measures or 16 beats, and it gives you time to really marinate on that chord, to work out with it, to work your licks out with it, and then the chord changes. So it's really getting you acclimated to this idea. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why would we want to do this? So glad you asked. Is because the greatest guitar players know that when you know what the chord is that's being played and you accent that chord, you play some of those color notes that are out of that chord, then whatever it is that you say is going to sound more cohesive. It's going to make more sense, okay? And you can do this without seeing these diagrams that I'm going to show you. That's how I did it for years. I just used my ear and I listened and I said, well, that note sounds good. I'm going to rest on that note. Or that note needs to go by very quickly. Don't hang out on that note. That's essentially what we're doing, but visually here. Now remember, if you develop your ear to do that, that's great. If you develop your eyes to do this, that's great. When you put them together, it's even more powerful. So the more different ways that you can look at this, the better, okay? So let's take a look. The chord progression you just heard is G minor and C minor, okay? And that's the one that dropped yesterday on my YouTube channel. You can go to the Jam Tracks section. There's a playlist there, and you'll find that there, okay? All right, now, the chords that we're going to be playing here are G minor and C minor. Now, I want you to check out this diagram that I have here. I'm looking at it myself right now. And the purple notes are the notes that make up the G minor chord. The notes that are mustard in color, that light brown there, that's going to be a B minor chord. Okay? And you see some that share the same sets of notes. Or the same set of notes, so they're going to be half purple and half mustard, but just know that they agree on both of those chords. That means you could literally rest on that note the entire time during that jam track, and you're never going to not be playing a chord tone. Whereas with the mustard colored ones, you would want to emphasize those notes more on the C minor chord. The purple notes, you'd want to emphasize more on the G minor, okay? Now with that being said, you don't have to do this. This is just going to get you acclimated to this idea. The other notes that are a little bit lighter in color are just some notes out of the pentatonic scale. And you're going to find that when we do that, we could be using pentatonic or we could be using diatonic or anything, modally major, minor, that sort of thing. We could be using any of those notes in there. If it applies to that scale, it's going to sound best, okay? So let me show you kind of what I would do here. We could even break this down more. If you have a looper pedal, this is a great time to get that out. So if we did something like this, okay, so we have a nice G minor vamp. And what that means is there's no changes, okay? So we're really not into the lesson yet, but we gotta get this concept down first. So we've got this little vamp playing. It's just one chord, so we're not gonna really emphasize the C minor notes like this note, because it's not gonna sound very good. It wants to resolve to, okay? So the purple notes there that you see are that G minor chord. Here it is. And we can hear that sounds really nice. Now, those are the notes that you rest on. They're going to sound best if you rest on them. And the other notes, the notes that are lighter, are the ones that you're going to noodle with. They're the notes that you're going to play, come up with your own licks, try them in different variations in order to come up with your own licks, your own motifs, if you will. And so let me give you an example of how you might want to do this. I like to play those notes faster or to get out of them quicker and rest on those chordal tones. So I might do something like this. Now remember, anything that you see, I'm going to do this just on the top 3 strings so you can see it very nicely, very easily. These are chord tones. They sound great. But if I play these notes, so these top notes, if I play those, we don't really want to rest on those as much. I mean, it'll work, but what we want to do is something like this. Or and see, what we're doing there is we're playing, we're resting on that note, and that's going to sound really nice because that's right there within the chord. The other notes are there to add color, to add some tension, if you will. Music's all about tension and release. So that's what we're doing. So a great thing to do if you have a looper pedal is to just play one chord vamp like that, and sit there and get used to that chord. Then work on the other chord. So in this case here, if we did this with a C minor, so we'll go here are my chord tones. So again, those are the notes that we want to rest on, okay? Those are the notes that we want to rest on when that chord is being played. If we rest on the other notes, it's going to give a little bit more tension. We may not like the way that it sounds. A third note is nice, it rests. This may not. So you can hear that rested. That one was a little bit tense and then it rested. Now again, we need tension and release. It's got to be there. But this is our C minor chord. Right? And so again, what we're going to do is use these notes that aren't as colorful on that grid there, on that little motif, or that little diagram, if you will. And we can play those other notes, but we just won't rest on them so much. So we might do some licks like this. Okay, now the fun comes in when we start doing these chord changes, because this is going to give you an opportunity to have to think. But if we're on this chord for 4 measures, it's really going to give you lots of time to be thinking, marinate in those different licks, get used to it, and then here comes the change. Now, as I said in Friday's video, is that when you hear your favorite guitar player playing over these changes, not these specific changes, but over chord changes very quickly, where the chords are just moving by very quickly, you might think, well, that's absolutely impossible. But I want you to think that there's no way to get to that very fast speed unless you do medium before that, and of course, do very slow before that, and all the variations in between. So just understand that whatever it is that you're trying to strive for in doing this sort of thing, you definitely can do it, but you have to start with the slow bits here. This is how everybody's done it since the beginning of time. So you're in good hands here. Friends, these jam tracks are going to be available very soon, not just on YouTube, but hundreds of them, and soon to be thousands of them at projamtracks.com. If you want to sign up early for that, you can. Site's still in development. Don't be scared. There's not much to it right now, but you can sign up for free right now, and then when we launch that site, you'll be privy to that. That's projamtracks.com. Some of the information that I'm sharing with you today may be over your head, and I understand that. Everybody has to have a first day where they learn, a first day where they walk, a first day where they talk. Don't feel bad about it. Just understand that it's part and parcel with what it is we're trying to do here, okay? And I have a course for you that will absolutely help you. The very first link below will give you free access to the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. We've had over 500,000 people join this course, and it's massively changed their guitar lives. I can promise you it will do the same for you. And in fact, if you don't like it, I will give you 10 times your money back for free. You heard it here, friends. Course is for free, but I'll give you 10 times your money back for free if you don't like it. Okay, you see what I did there? Okay, anyhow, friends, I'm out of here. No, I'm not out of here yet. I apologize. If you would like to get in that course, you don't have the time to click on the link or do any of that, you can text me. If you're watching on mobile right now, text me, 833-744-0154, and type free. Send that text off to me. I will get you set up in the course, okay? As always, friends, be kind to all beings. Do the right things always. Practice your guitar. I'll see you in the next video.